Hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Aero India 2025 and the Mission DefSpace from Vision to Reality seminar. We are very delighted to see you all here today for this very critical discussion on India's strategic push in space defense. We have a distinguished panel of experts who will set the stage for our discussions. And as we begin the plenary session today, I request your attention as I introduce our esteemed speakers and welcome them all on the stage. Lieutenant General A.K. Bhatt, retired PVSM, UISM, AVSM, SMVSM, Director General, Indian Space Association. Lieutenant General Vinod G. Khandare, retired PVSM, AVSM, SM, Principal Advisor, MOD. Dr. Anupam Sharma, Director of Special Projects. Dr. P.V. Radha Devi, Director Adrin. Please, may I please welcome you all on the stage, please. We also have among us our Honorable Governor Shekhar Dutt, SMIS, former Governor of Chhattisgarh, former Defence Secretary in Government of India, he's our ESPA patron and mentor. I would request General Bhatt to kindly felicitate dear sir with a token of gratitude. We are very humble, sir, that you're here. Thank you, sir. As we commence with the plenary session of the day, may I request Lieutenant General A.K. Bhatt, DG ESPA, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Good morning and Jai Hind. Honorable guests, distinguished speakers, and esteemed participants. It is my privilege to welcome you all to this session on Mission Defense Space from Vision to Reality at the Aero India Show 2025. On behalf of ISPA, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all who are present here, representing our government, armed forces, research institutions, industry leaders, and the broader space and defense ecosystem. India today is at a pivotal juncture in the space defense domain. As we witness a new era of strategic advancements, our collective commitment to space, security, defense innovation, and self-reliance is more crucial than ever. The Indian space sector is undergoing a rapid transformation where the synergy between public and private sectors is redefining our trajectory towards a global leadership in this very critical domain. The theme of today's discussion, India's strategic push in space defense, reflects the nation's growing ambitions and space technology for security, national defense, and strategic autonomy. Our vision is clear: to harness cutting-edge advancements in space technology, foster indigenous innovation, and build a resilient and robust defense space ecosystem. We are honored to have with us today illustrious leaders who are shaping India's space and defense policies. I would like to extend a very special welcome to our esteemed speakers. Lieutenant General Vinod Khandare is the principal advisor in the Ministry of Defense, whose expertise and leadership has been instrumental in shaping India's security strategies. I need to mention here that he played a special role in the defense space challenges which were conceptualized, and in fact he was a big catalyst for them becoming part of the IDEX process, and we got these 75 challenges thanks to a lot of support from him. We also have Dr. Anupam Sharma, the Director of Special Projects in DRDO. He leads the requirement of the entire research and development for the Defense Space Agency, and that by implication for all the three services. Apart from that, he is providing support and guidance to our growing startups such as Bellatrix, Digantara, and many others. We are so happy to have him here because he is a strong pillar in the R&D development for the defense forces in India. We also have Dr. Radha Devi, Director ADRIN. ADRIN has been contributing to the advancement of space-based intelligence and analytics. In her career spanning more than 3.5 decades, her organization has provided critical support for ISR to the three services. If we look today at the activities in space in the last 1 year, we see that the largest number of launches have taken place last year. Nearly 263 with only 5 failures, a very high rate of success. But what is more important is the Starship's heavyweight, that chopstick which has landed very recently, and the first walk of a human being, private player in space, have both taken place a few months back. In India also, very recently the launch of Firefly's satellites by Pixel, the launch of satellite by TSL this year, and the testing of the payloads by a number of our startups such as Bellatrix, Manastu, Dhruva, Peersight, and Digantara are all indication of the growth which is taking place in the private sector in space. Agnikul and Skyroot are also gearing up for their orbital launches, and we have many more huge positive stories in our private sector. Today's discussion and panel sessions will offer you critical insights in, most importantly, into mission defense space. We propose to look at the progress in defense space challenges, identify what are the challenges in them, and chart out a course for the way ahead. With distinguished experts from DRDO, DSA, ISRO, InSpace, and the private sector, we aim to strengthen the policy framework, testing infrastructure, and industry collaboration required to ensure India's dominance in the Indian defense space domain. Mission Defense Space, India's ambitious initiative to strengthen the space defense capabilities, has made significant strides since its inception just a few years back. Launched with the vision of ensuring India's dominance in the increasingly contested domain of space, the mission has focused on developing advanced space technologies, enhancing space situational awareness, and integrating space-based assets with operational needs of the armed forces. In just 1.5 years or more, we've seen greater private participation. Our space startups have proven that they can deliver world-class solutions. Pixel, CISR, radars, Galaxy have demonstrated exceptional abilities in multi-payload miniaturized satellites. Dhruva Space has successfully developed programmable handheld adapters for satellite communication. Galaxy Space is pioneering multi-sensor fusion technology. These are some of the many technical achievements, and they represent a fundamental shift in India's space industrial ecosystem. Out of the 75 challenges, we have completed successful private sector solutions for more than over 20, and companies like Kawa, Paras, InSpacity have secured multiple contracts, demonstrating the depth of private sector capability. To our industry partners who are here, I want to emphasize that the gaps which exist represent significant business opportunities. We need more private sector players to step into these domains. Let me now conclude by emphasizing that space is no longer just a force multiplier. It is a fundamental domain of modern warfare. Your contributions aren't just business opportunities. They are critical for the nation's security. I like this background music. It makes the whole thing more interesting. We see defense space is not just about procurement. It is about they would always say आवाज बुलंद होनी चाहिए पर इस हवाई जहाज से ज़्यादा बुलंद नहीं हो सकती. Defense space is not about procurement, as I was saying. It is about building a robust, self-reliant defense ecosystem. The private sector isn't just a supplier in this mission. You are strategic partners in securing India's space capabilities. In conclusion, I would like to thank each one of you for your dedication and commitment to this cause. Your presence here demonstrates the shared resolve to propel India towards a self-reliant and technologically superior country in space sector. With that, I invite our distinguished speakers to share their perspectives and insights. All of them have a lot of expertise in this sector, especially in the areas of defense space challenges. And to all, I would say, let us collaborate, innovate, and strategize to build a stronger, more secure, and self-reliant space defense ecosystem in India. Jai Hind.
Thank you, General Bhatt, for that insightful address on the booming Indian space sector and for setting the momentum for the plenary session. May I now take this opportunity to welcome Lieutenant General Khandari, retired, to kindly share his thoughts with the August gathering, sir.
Jai Hind, everyone. My due respects to Governor Shekhar Dutt. He is a legend and we always feel encouraged when he is amongst us. And General Bhatt, thank you for your kind words, but let me tell, most of the people would know, but I think one of the happiest day of my life was on 11th October 2021, when General Bhatt was on a live TV video conference rather with the Prime Minister. And that day the Prime Minister announced that the defense space sector is open to the private sector. And it was General Bhatt and 10 startups, Anil? Yeah. And most of them the advantage of satellites is that they don't make so much noise, but the results are fantastic. So anyway, what I was saying is 10 startups and they've all done well. We are proud of them. And what had started as possibly one of the smallest exercise, which we were not sure where it will go, but it has been growing from strength to strength. Initially, people were only looking at the SBS programs, SBS 2, SBS 3, and in that many of us were looking at how many satellites, because those were the days when we did not have the concept of multiple payloads on a single platform. Now, with the kind of brain power that we have, the kind of aspirations that the startups have, I think in these last couple of years we've moved very fast. Organizationally, 2018 October, when the cabinet note got approved for DSA, establishment of DSA, maybe a lot of veterans wanted the space command to come through immediately, and there was a lot of discussion. The defense secretary then, Mr. Sanjay Mitra, NSA, me, we were discussing, and it was, I think, a very sensible thought. Let's start with an agency, and then once we are in a position that we have consolidated, then we can go in for the next step. So I think that is the fundamental issue. Yes, 2018 October, it started, but effective work began somewhere in mid-2019. And now the Vice Chief of Air Staff, he was the first DG of DSA. DSP came about around the same time. Dr. Shastri was there, and then a lot of good work done, and now we have a dynamic Anupam, and Anupam has been doing stellar work. In fact, the tragedy of his life is he can't announce too much, but we generally know how much work he has been doing, and more important than just looking at the results, a country like India has to have affordable solutions, and that's what he's been focusing on. So instead of just looking at huge budgets, I think what he's been focusing is on optimizing, economizing, and the results that he obviously will tell you are something which are phenomenal. Dr. Radha Devi has also been a legend in terms of one of the favorite projects that we both were working on together was the NGF. Now I think that's with somebody else, but the preliminary work and the blueprint of that was done by her and her team. And I want to acknowledge it publicly so that your team, madam, especially the kind of hard work that they did, it was phenomenal. Satyam Kushwaha is also one of the people who has worked a lot, especially in the NSCS, and thereafter has been with ISPA. As I see in the audience, there are so many people who've been contributing to the growth of defense space sector. And, this is a kind of a very interesting terminology when you talk of defense space and you talk of space defense. And I was still wondering that we are talking of defense space till Anupam whispered to me that he's already in space defense. So people who are experts in this field will understand what I am trying to say, and rest I'll leave it to him to tell us what exactly is happening. While we look at the entire sector, and the startups and MSMEs are playing a very big role. And now with the announcement of those 54 satellites and I think 31 going to the private sector, these are all milestones that we are achieving. We obviously cannot be compared with what Elon Musk is doing, but sooner or later maybe we will have better solutions, and we will have solutions which suit India. We should not be looking at expeditionary plans the way others are looking at. In space, NSIL, they are all doing a lot of work to enable us, empower us. And these are the initial years when we all have to get adjusted to each other's procedures and templates. The armed forces, particularly since this is being handled by DSA, and I want to also acknowledge the second DG, Dhananjay Khoth. He did a lot of hard work, a lot of good work, and I think that footing, in any case, a new organization requires about 3-4 DGs to do a lot of work. So there Dhananjay Khoth also did a lot, and I think he's within space now. So there is a continuity which we need. In the ecosystem, we need people from right from the students level. And I'm aware of a lot of good initiatives which have been taken by certain NGOs. Like there's one NGO, Space Kids, they're bringing school children into the space domain. Then you have now universities which are doing a lot towards creating expertise for the space sector. There is expertise which resides in the armed forces also, but I think between me, General Bhatt, maybe Manoj, we need to see what more needs to be done in bringing expertise down to the user level rather than depending only on a few handful people who are analysts. Maybe some other thoughts, and that is something that we can work upon because we have to change gears. We know the direction, but we need to speed up and we need to, as they say, democratize use of space. So for that, we have to go down right to the last mile or the first mile, whichever way you want to look at. So some thoughts on that also have to be done. One major landmark that I would say the entire fraternity, especially those who are sitting here, who came up with the space policy. A lot of hard work went in there. There will be changes, there will be improvements because no policy or no charter is ever cast in stone. It has to keep changing, it has to keep moving. And we all are responsible to ensure that we move ahead. What General Bhatt mentioned about 75 IDEX challenges for indigenization innovation, I from MOD can still say, Manoj, give us any number of more challenges, we will help you. And since we've looked at Aditi also, which has a higher allocation that we have promised 25 CR, I think more challenges that you ask us, we will definitely help you to work that out. And I think that will help the startups also. There is one problem which the startups are still facing is about the funding part, the mechanism which is in the finance. We have been trying with the finance ministry to see that how to liberalize, how to make it better because banks immediately ask for a collateral. And startups actually have nothing to offer for collateral. Just a thought, can an IP be used as a collateral? That's something that we all need to debate upon. And if that can be worked out, I think funding will become easier. There are thoughts of how to create a dedicated fund. So funding is a challenge which needs to be worked upon. And one important thing that has to be done is the integration of assets. What it implies is whatever comes from space, whatever comes from, say, HAPS, whatever comes out of drones or whatever comes out of the airspace, the results have to be combined. So while we are looking at things for the ISR, for communication, for PNT, now for SSA, so all these are terms where we all still have challenges. And that is one of the pillar of Atmanirbharta where we suffered during the Kargil conflict where GPS was denied. So I think this is one Atmanirbharta that we definitely want to aim at. Organizationally, the armed forces will have to be ready whenever there is a preparedness for expansion. Wherever there is a preparedness for expansion, the armed forces will have to, in a way, make a commitment that the time taken to create such an organization should not be as much as it took for DSA. My interaction with the Space Force, Space Command, 4-star general from USA, within 1 year they had achieved everything. I think that is the kind of capability organizationally we must have. And sooner or later we should be able to achieve that. So while we all look at what we have done, so while the speakers will come and give us what we have achieved so far, I am trying to just tell you that by 2047, I am definitely sure that technologies will change. There will be new challenges, so we must keep looking beyond the horizon and prepare for that. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. May I now welcome on the dais Dr. Anupam to kindly deliver his address.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me thank Lieutenant General Khandare, who has been mentor for me, and after he speaks, it is very difficult to speak. But let me tell you that once this SPA was formed, earlier I used to write 25 by 25. So there is a flavor of, a different flavor of DRDO. When Group Captain Menon joined us, I made 25 by 5. That means if 25 tasks are given to DRDO, only 5 I am supposed to do, 20 are given to the industry and the startup. That's a new flavor of DRDO. Now, coming back to what we are talking about, this India's strategic push in defense, space defense actually, as Janak Khandare rightly brought out that space for defense has been talked for dual use. The example is DRDO and ISRO was sitting side by side. You can see. But DRDO has to address defense for space. And let me tell you what is the new flavor of DRDO where we want to address. We have started working. We go to a startup, he has got a satellite with multiple payloads. He says, sir, if I launch it, what is going to be the use? We said from DRDO, launch it, we will use the service, satellite as a service. फौज को जो डेटा कल चाहिए, if we can put supply today, फौज is going to be very happy. And in that direction, we have started working, having the MOUs with the startups and the industry, where multiple payloads are put together, they are launched, but the funding can come from DRDO, taking space as a service. This is something which is very new, and that will treat that each industry and a startup can work like a Fauji, and they can supply data to the services. That is the first thing. The second thing is, which we are trying out, civil military fusion. You see, gone are the days when the innovation happens in military and come to civil. Now civil innovations must be addressed through military, and Ukraine is the example actually, and that is what we are working hard with the commercial industries, where many technologies from the commercial world can go to the third very important thing, low hanging fruits. As I said, how to make things faster. Gone are the days when DRDO used to take projects for 5 years, 10 years. We want to complete our activities in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, or 12 months, or maximum 1.5 years. We are developing an ecosystem where the service can be made available to the services within no time. The indigenization can happen parallelly, and for which 15 Center of Excellence we have approached. In fact, I am the co-chairman of one of the Aeronautical Research Development Fund, where in parallel to what is available in the space, they are going to be indigenized through academia. And sir, to address your concern, how a startup to be funded, we have made an arrangement that 40% of the cost can be paid to the startup also. So basically, the academia is going to be involved, the startup is going to be involved, and then along with the startup, there is a commitment that industry is also going to be involved. 40% of the cost will be borne by DRDO. Second thing, very important, that when some research is happening, the academia always says, I don't have the infrastructure. DRDO is making a lead role that whatever the cost of the infrastructure, be it 55 crore, 100 crore, that will be funded by DRDO, and that will be at the place of academia. So that academia need not to come out only with the research paper, they come out with the practical research. The startup will make a prototype, and the third thing is industry association will bring the end result product in parallel. It is not going to be sequential. At my level, with the help of the chairman DDR&D, this is already in place and we have started working on it. Space is a costly affair. I could not digest it. We did an experimental satellite just with 6 crore rupees, which could sustain in the orbit for 2 years. Because propulsion system was not there, it went down. Trend has changed. Now present DRDO, particularly my lab, we start working with the startup and the industry every day morning. We work out what are the technology gaps. We discuss how those gaps to be filled up. The problems are given to the academia, the problems are given to the startup, and together we monitor whether we are on the right path or not. And I can assure you that this will start giving results not in years, but in few months. Maybe another 1 month you'll find something, change happening, some new products coming, services requirements to be met. Something very important that for military which is required to be addressed, you have to sustain in space. How you have to sustain in space? LEO is already crowded. DRDO is already working with the startup, having a air breathing electric propulsion system where you can put your satellite at 250 kilometer orbit where the oxygen and the hydrogen and these other things can be used for as a fuel, and that is going to be a brain breakthrough. Something related to Atmanirbharta, we are focusing, if there is a war tomorrow, where our country is prepared. Let me tell you, a very basic space qualified cell we have been importing. I was not happy with that. We have carried out the study. There is one of the DRDO labs. In the March or April, they will come out with the first prototype of that cell, and India will be able to develop it. The required infrastructure will be funded by DRDO. Assembly, testing of lithium-ion batteries where the lithium-ion cells can be made in India, that also is being done hectically. So to summarize, what we are going to do with the combination of the startup, industries and all, we are going to cover 7 areas. The first area, gone are the days when a satellite just is an individual satellite. We are working on a satellite which work in a constellation with inter-satellite link so that the data received by the satellite can be disseminated to the services in near real time. We are working on the payloads. I just give an example, like we don't want to compete with ISRO. They have worked on X-band SAR. We may work for P-band, Ku-band SAR, which has got more military requirements. And let me tell you that the startup is so great, the MSMEs and all, they realize an antenna which is to be imported just 1/10 of the thing. And it is proven on ground. I want to tell you the imported antenna was 110 crore rupees, and in 10 crore rupees, Indians have made that antenna. I just want to tell you that Indians have got no limitations. Once you show them a direction, once you handhold, these things will start coming. The next is space situation awareness, low cost solution. DRDO is going to provide very shortly so that 100% of the LEO coverage can be shown. Countermeasures, as General Khandare said, I'm not supposed to talk, but the ground stations, technologies, the AI and ML for minimizing the load on the operators, and followed by the infrastructure, high-end infrastructure. In fact, I'll be covering in my next talk the test facilities, the infrastructure which can be used by industries and DRDO, the startups will be made available. Looking at it, you all are together. I am part of parcel and of your team, and I think together we can address the country requirement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anupam, for that very interesting address. May I now please request Dr. Radha Devi to kindly deliver the special address.
Very good afternoon, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. I would like to thank Lieutenant General A.K. Bhatt for inviting me for this seminar. The topic of the main theme is the mission DefSpace from vision to reality. Yes, now it is time to act, time for action now, because vision already have set 3 years over from 2022 onwards, when as far as space is concerned, when it was open to public or industry by the government. That was a very historic decision, and now it is time for action. And now the theme of this particular plenary session is India's strategic push in the defense space. So initially I had a doubt whether it is space defense or defense space. I shared it with sir also. Anyway, to bring the vision to reality, 3 things are required. That is, one is data sources and platform. Second one is technology that will convert the data into intelligence. And third one is how effectively we are implementing or integrating the resources and technologies in a very effective way. So I will be I will be doing a sort of reality check on these 3 aspects. So I thought with few slides I will share what are the space assets and what we are looking for to get like that. Excuse me, can I? Slide is not moving.
Next, just go to
Yeah, I did that. It's not going. This only, no? It's not moving. Ah. No. Yeah, yeah. I think this slide shows the requirement of a multi-domain operations today for an informationized warfare. I think I don't have to speak about this today, because everybody all are aware. It is a dual use of technologies and data is the need of the day in the today's geopolitical scenario. Hard and soft powers are equally important, and state and non-state players are also into picture. And the boundaries separating civil and the military domains are blurring anyway. So whole of nation approach is the need of the day. Service sector, MOD, private, R&D institutes, etc. I recall we had a discussion in the last DefSat conference that warriors have to be in the scientist grade and scientists have to be in the warriors grade today. That is the need of the day. So anyway, going to the next slide. This shows India's military space assets, mainly from the satellite point of view. Reality check. This side shows the existing military space satellites. Totally, we are having 51 satellites today in the orbit, out of which communication satellites are 17, remote sensing 26, and navigation 8. Out of these 17 communication satellites, 4 are exclusively for strategic applications, 3 in the navigation are exclusively for strategic, and from the ISR side, out of this 26 satellites, I think 12 are exclusively for strategic applications. All other satellites are playing a dual use of technology, data sharing. That is what is happening today. Like we have GSAT 7A, 7B, 7C, etc. Navigation, we have GSAT 8, 10, 15, etc. And apart from that, we have this ISR capabilities, Cartosat series, RISAT series, SIGINT and electronic warfare capabilities. Space situational awareness, we have ISRO's Netra with a network of radars and optical telescopes. Then early warning and missile defense, I think I don't have to speak about it because Dr. Anupam Sharma will be the correct person to talk about it. Then drones and UAVs are owned by many for border surveillance by tri-services and inter-agencies, etc. So, and also we know in SBS 3, which is going to be launched with so many optical, infrared, SAR, high-seas, wide swath, stereo, very high resolution, maritime, all these satellites in the LEO, GEO and MEO orbits. So what I feel is in few years, at least with the space industry also into picture, most of our needs from the space for defense point of view, militarization point of view will be met. up to a very good extent. And requirements today are for rapid development, deployment of military satellites, launch on demand, small satellites, military, internet through LEO satellites, then constellation of small satellites, that is a requirement today, and satellites in GSO and SSO, then IRNSS extension with 24 satellites, then HAPS. So what I feel is we have to develop more capabilities for defense of space and space security side also, especially from communication, security, satellites and all. Yeah. So I was just taking a check on the existing satellites. Now coming to the second point, the technologies which are the drivers of the DefSpace. Maybe 30 years before, 35 years when we joined, the basic technologies, core geospatial technologies which were existing, cartography, image processing, photogrammetry, such things, remote sensing, etc. And last 10 years, we are witnessing an unprecedented growth of the digital technologies like big data, immersive technologies, A and ML mainly, quantum, all these areas. So now what is happening is a fusion of technologies. Like there are engineering disciplines now called Geo-AI, that is GIS and artificial intelligence together. So both the domains are actually getting empowered. GIS and all these core geospatial technologies are having like a reincarnation today, because the things what we were doing, data processing, data exploitation, data dissemination, all these areas, that means the data to intelligence cycle has become drastically changed now with the advent of these digital technologies. That means whichever was taking maybe hours after getting the data to get an intelligence, it is in minutes now with the help of this AI/ML basically. Yeah, this is just one example I wanted to show here for a fusion of data and technologies. See, this is actually one New Year card which we made in maybe 7 years before within our organization. At that time, we were digitizing each, and this is a photo image, Carter 2 series image of a bus stand, Imliban bus stand in Hyderabad. So we have digitized the buildings and all. Then we calculated in another system the height of the buildings and all. That is how it was made at that time. So same thing recently we have done in the lab with an application package which we have developed, which is a fusion of data and technologies in the sense AML was used for the extraction of building footprints, and which are superimposed onto the high resolution Carter 2 series imagery. OSM layers are there. Now a huge amount of open source informations are available today. OSM layers are taken for road network and all, which are superimposed. Geo names are also existing, we can make them. Then height calculation of the buildings is done with a photogrammetry and image processing, shadow or from stereo imagery. Then it is, actually this is in the package form, it is operationalized in all the strategic user agencies and services and all. And now one more step ahead, what we are doing is towards, at the time of whenever data is getting processed itself, it will generate an int report, because anyway through AML we know which is that area, how many fighter aircrafts are there, is it an airport area, what type of images it is covering, what type of information it is covering, all this. So a preliminary int report, if it is made, analyst can just augment it further, or that is already, that applications are already ready and it is being operationalized at the user end. Now one more thing, next thing what we are doing is edge computing. Edge computing is an area in which real-time decision making can be done. That means in the satellite itself, we have to load all these models with which extraction of information and int generation and downlinking. Downlinking of the information product is what is required. Because we are today, I know in our scenario, 30%, 40% will be cloud. Actual covered target location will be very small in the entire length. So we are per pass 50 GB of data. Instead of that, 1 MB per pass is good enough for the information to be downlinked. That also, suppose we include in the ISL capabilities. Now we heard about docking and all these things. So once in a LEO satellite, if this information generation is done, it can be sent to a geo satellite so that anywhere in the earth it can be downlinked to a soldier in a border, to his mobile, or to a fisherman in the sea. This is the technology. This is not a wish list I am telling, or wish. It is almost, we are on the proof of concept, or ISRO is doing the proof of concept of this edge computing part. Yeah. So again, I told about satellites and what more is required from the space domain. Technology-wise also, areas to be strengthened are AI-driven predictive intelligence part. That means from reactive to proactive defense we have to work. Today we are using these AI/ML technologies mostly for making automation, reducing the turnaround time, etc. Whereas it is possible to do prediction from the patterns. So that is decision support systems, GIS based and all. That is one area. Then edge computing in satellites and UAVs. Digital twins is another area for battlefield simulation and all. Improved pointing abilities are required in our satellites. Then technologies for high bandwidth jam resistant communication links, multi-sensor data fusion technologies, especially SAR and optical, satellites and UAVs data, such things. Ground and space-based laser technologies, quantum. Quantum is another technology which is a game changer in military operations, offering unprecedented advantages in secure communication, computing, navigation, all these areas. So that will be future, definitely. So towards this, more work, our technologies are to be developed. Or this is just an example of, now I came to the last point, are we doing the effective utilization of the existing resources? Because today we are living in an era of data and information. It is flooded with data and information. Only thing is we have to see the authenticity, and almost, as per a survey, I think almost 2.5 into 10 to the power of 9 GB of data is getting generated on an everyday basis from Twitter, different platforms, sensors and all. Out of that, 80% of it is geo. That means geo is added to that. Is geolocation is added to that. But what it is, data is precious, but it is like crude oil. We have to do refining, we have to do authentication, then only we can use it. But definitely what I wanted to tell is that can be used as a trigger. Today, see for example, this I just wanted to tell an example. This is a narcotic crop assessment project which ISRO is doing for 11 states in the country. Here we have developed a methodology to distinguish the crop pattern from other competing crops, how the poppy cultivation to eradicate it. Every year means a report is getting generated and sent to all the police forces or through NCB, Narcotic Control Bureau. But how it is being done today is purely from Sentinel. Sentinel data is available on a very frequent rate. Every 5 days it will be there. Full season we can download it. We can see the pattern, how much acreages of it is there, and police is very effectively using it for this purpose. This is just a small example. This is also another example. I don't want to, I think time is not there much. So what I was trying to tell is whether if we can effectively integrate the existing resources, satellite, UAVs, or open source information. Similarly, many other things are there. Marinetraffic.com, airtraffic.com, all these can be triggers for imaging. What is the biggest drawback today? RISAT is we are having SAR satellites, but its swath is reduced. We cannot see in the entire sea for a ship detection. We cannot use straight away until and unless we have a trigger where we have to image. So that planning can be done even from the available maritime information or AIS data. All this can be used, which will give the direction and speed, so that even if we are planning for tomorrow, we can approximately calculate where a warship will be there and all. So this is one thing which, and also then the question will be, where is the manpower to look into all this available open source information today? So I think today itself it is very difficult for analysts to go through each and every data what is coming. Per day almost I think 1 TB of data is coming from our own satellites, exclusive satellites for analysis. So tomorrow it is going to be a data deluge or data tsunami, even though AML, all these things are existing. So we should have some ways and means of mechanism. What I felt was there are many retired analysts who are very passionately following, whom I myself know, who are working for 20 years and all in different Ind agencies and all. They are very passionately following where is the location of a ship and all in the open source information like Sentinel and all. So why can't we think of having a portal where they can be tasked at different locations and all, and we can make a portal. It is anyway open source information, but definitely consolidating it, we can use it for a trigger and use the effective resources in a more better way. This is one thing which I was feeling. I don't know how far it is happening today, because I really don't know whether it is really happening or not. So this slide just shows the challenges in the GeoInt adoption. See, actually generating a reliable base data is the first and foremost thing. All should be working on that base data and everyone should have it also. Because geotagging by different organizations, different sensors, all these give, same target will be given, slightly different coordinates and all. These things we have to change. Then siloed organization means all are compartmentalized way of working, only sharing, data sharing policies are really not clear, even though many policies and all are in place. Data sharing policy, no clear-cut guidelines on that. Then capacity building, then absence of a single window clearance delays projects. From the defense projects, in my experience, it takes years, 1 year, 1.5 years and all. By the time it is approved and all, technology itself would have changed and we have to go for something differently. Then data quality, authenticity, interoperability, these are the problems for sharing the data also. Then limited data sources and networks, of course it is there, and insufficient geospatial technologies for fusion. As I was mentioning, aerial and satellite, SAR and optical, such things. Then lack of full automation in the chain for multi-int fusion. Multi-int fusion is another area. So with this, I just want to conclude this with these 3 points, that bridging the gaps in data sources, technology, utilization and policy is the key to mission DefSpace success. Then collaboration between government, private sector and academia will drive the innovation, and a strong space security framework, that is very essential for national security. With these 3 pillars, I think India is in the path of building a resilient and self-reliant space defense ecosystem, ensuring national security, deterrence and dominance in future space warfare. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for that very aspirational address. May I now request General Bhatt to kindly felicitate our esteemed speakers, as we now conclude the very important plenary session. To Lieutenant General Vinod G. Khandare, retired PVSM, AVSM SM, Principal Advisor, MOD. To Dr. Anupam Sharma, Director of Special Projects, DRDO. To Dr. P.V. Radha Devi, Director, Adrin. May I please request you all for a group photograph, please, sir? Can we have a roaring round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much. Thank you to our plenary speakers for that very insightful perspectives. We shall now move on to our first panel discussion on the theme India's strategic push in space defense. Thank you, sir. May I please request you all to kindly be seated as we move on to the next, our first panel discussion of the day. It's India's strategic push in the space defense called the status report on mission DefSpace. Moderating this vital discussion is AVM Rajiva Ranjan, retired VM, former ASIDS ICT IDS headquarters. And please welcome in joining me in the panel of experts. Esteemed panelists on stage, please. So with a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our esteemed panelists on stage. AVM Rajiva Ranjan as our moderator, Brigadier Manoj, SFE DSA, Dr. Vinod Kumar, FIE Director Promotions Directorate in Space, Kal Kishore Yawale, Colonel SP Space IDEX DIO, Dr. Abhishek Chauhan, Deputy Program Director IDEX DIO, Wing Commander Praveen, Wing Commander Space Ops Indian Air Force, Mr. Bharat Sima Reddy Papula, Assistant General Manager, Space System Azista Industries Private Limited. Thank you, dear gentlemen. You may please have your seats. I may now request AVM Ranjan to kindly initiate the session, please. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think I'll have the presentation first online. Can we have the presentation, please? Okay, right. Let me check first if Murphy is working with, okay, Murphy is on.
Yeah, AV,
Not
please
there.
coordinate with the slide change.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Without wasting much time, I would initially thank the DDP and ISPA to have this session from the strategic domain at the plenary session to coming to the nuts and bolts, which is going to affect the armed forces and the industry, in which we shall review the progress, what we have made, and some of the suggestions to the way forward for the DefSpace challenge. Space is no longer a domain for scientific. The importance of space. We started with the mixing of IDEX and the industry together to bring the DefSpace challenge, and so that innovation is brought into the country. And investment in innovation is the indication of commitment of any country, what you want to do for the future in the technology and also your prowess, and on the both commercial and the defense front. On the defense, it's essentially is to fill the gap and bridge the gap what you have in the capabilities. So with opening of the space segment in 2020, formation of NSIL, in space, Defense Space Agency, DRDO, DSP, a large number of projects have been launched with the DefSpace Challenge and SBS-3 to indicate our commitment into the innovation sector. So with this little background, I'll just go over some of the health card over what we do and what globally we stand in innovation and the IDEX. Israel and Korea are taking the lead in terms of GDP expenditure on the R&D, and in terms of the pure money, the US and China. India for last 20-25 years is hovering around 0.63 to 0.65% of the GDP. Around 2022-23, we spend around 71 to 72 billion dollar, which is 2.5% of the global R&D money. Also, one peculiar thing is most of the Western countries, the developed nation, they invest more money on giving the tax incentive to the private rather than India, which gives you funding, the direct funding for the R&D to a tune of 70 to 65%. And it's interestingly to note that R&D tax break under Income Tax Act 1930, Section 35, it was brought down to 100% in 2019. There is a need for relook at that for the IDEX and for the next 10 years to show our commitment in this space. Now going to the IDEX proper, where do we stand? It all started in 2018, somewhere in the early April. But first of the mission being launched in the end of the 2018. Over the last 6 to 7 years, we have had 544 challenges, of which 601 challenges have been announced. And also product development has been, contract has been signed with 425 and 31 products have been delivered. Mind you, space, armed forces were essentially getting it done through ISRO. It's only recently we have now ventured. So over a period of 4 to 5 years, defense services understanding the space, understanding the ecosystem, and then achieving this kind of is wonderful for us. Value of the contract is around 1,600 crores, and the budget allocation also you can see for the 500 crore, and this year budget you have 400 crore. Okay, now coming proper to DefSpace challenge. In May 22, work started with ISPA, and we had mentoring by General Khandare, and then we started working on Defense Space Technology Innovation Challenge, and we wanted diffusion of the technology, and then innovation by the private industry, and then that's how the mission DefSpace Challenge was launched on 19th October. Under the category of IDEX, on the 2, Disk and Prime, Make 1 and Make 2. This is the general broad status. You'll find some red color inks, etc., which is changing from the legacy, what was the approved, to what is being now thought of. So not to confuse you, I'll just take you to the mota number. All the 51 IDEX challenges, high power committee has been done. 4 are being re-evaluated. Contract has been awarded for 27. 24 are under approval. Some of the challenge are being converted into IDEX because it is easier to execute your IDEX challenges because the decision is being taken in the collegiate manner. On the Make front, 3 feasibility report has been carried out. Also, the Make which has been converted to Aditi, 6 of them, 4 HPC has been carried out. Under Aditi 4, 3 more would be converted into Aditi so that we provide impetus to overall DefSpace challenge. With this little background, we'll go into the discussion with the panelists to air their view. Broadly, I have shared a broad scope on which they have to comment on, and I'll start with DSA, Brigadier Manoj.
Thank you, sir. Firstly, thanks a lot to General Bhatt and the team ISPA for inviting us. You've all seen the broad direction in which we are going. So before I answer these questions per se, I would just like to highlight that as far as the DSA is concerned, it is mandated, the role itself is to look at all defense space related activities. So while the 75 challenges itself for ease of administrative ease and for the project officers per se, they've been distributed amongst the services and the DSA. All 75 challenges and further, whatever may be, are being aggregated by DSA. So this is a major role as far as the DSA is concerned. So anything which has to come into the defense space ecosystem, we will be coordinating it, we will be looking at it in that manner. Of course, we have the wholehearted interaction with all three services, and we almost meet every week or speak almost every second day. So there's a perfect synergy between all of us as far as that is concerned. So now coming to the progress of our specific space challenges, it was flashed, we have 28 challenges, out of which 16 are IDEX and 12 are MAKE. And for the IDEX challenges, 10 contracts have already been awarded. There are 14 winners. Few of the challenges have multiple winners. So that is one thing that I wanted to highlight. Second is, as far as the MAKE 1 is concerned, we've prioritized, we've selected the top 3 as per our priority, and we started working on them. Probably in a month and a half or 2, we should be ready with the feasibility report that is in the process of being prepared. Within the DSA, we've had multiple interactions with all the stakeholders, starting from the industry, of course, the DRDO, ISRO services. We've had multiple interactions, and like AVM Ranjan also highlighted, some of the challenges we felt could be recategorized from, say, MAKE to Aditi or Prime, primarily because of the realization timelines. So we've done that from an initial 20 MAKE challenges. Now there are 12, and 4 more would go into Aditi very soon. So this is till the time we are slightly more comfortable with the procedures. This is probably the best route that we felt we should follow. Now, as far as the deliverables are concerned, our first contract would be, if all goes well, would be realized by March 25. That is a challenge on micro thrusters. So we are very excited. The time is almost reaching. So that would be the first sort of deliverable as far as this DefSpace challenges are concerned. Coming to the challenges, one of the major challenges we as users face. Now, all of us are Fauji's. Most of us had no space background. We were all, we came in from our normal course of duty into Defense Space Agency. Of course, some people have got stability of tenures, so we've continued for some time. But the problem is, we can very well understand the operational challenges. We converted them into paper, but converting those operational challenges into technical challenges. So that is where at times we felt a crunch because of the issue of subject matter experts. So for that, we've had a large number of interactions. There's another forum called JDCC, Joint Development and Coordination Cell. It is being headed by the Secretary Defense Production. There's a joint working group which the DGDSA heads. It's a part of this JDCC. So we've had a large number of interactions, and a lot of such issues have already been thrashed out by these. Second, one more issue, a challenge that we face probably is the testing standards. Once the product is delivered, what would be the acceptance test procedure? Because we are straight-jacketed. In Forge, we know a product specification is laid down, there's a acceptance test procedure. But in space, we are still not very comfortable. There's a panel discussion immediately after this, so I'm sure we'll get much more details during that. Future, we have all our 75 space challenges. They cover almost all domains of military space, whether it be ISR, SATCOM, position navigation, timing, space situational awareness, launch vehicles. So we don't talk of like General Khandare and Dr. Anupam before me said, we don't talk of countermeasure capabilities per se, but all other domains has been adequately addressed, and most of our challenges are high value projects. Therefore, most of it has been covered. In addition to these 75 challenges, we have 5 Aditi challenges also, which include a mobile ground station, CubeSat deployers, neuromorphic sensor satellites, and solar cells. So space weather satellites. So these are now niche areas where we have put in challenges. We would want the industry to come in and play their role. Also, what do we want the industry to look at? If we look at simple ISR, a turnaround time, operationally what I would require is from the time I give a indent or a demand for an imagery, the imaging and the time it reaches me in a usable form, I want to reduce that as much as possible. So there are a large number of technologies that can cover this: edge computing, AI/ML, inter-satellite links, data relays. So you just need to think, the industry needs to think what has to come. So this is just one example. In SATCOM, we would want to go for an integrated satellite communication grid rather than someone highlighted that we have a separate satellite for the Navy, separate one for the Army and for the Air Force. We want our entire networks to be on the same grid. It has to be band agnostic. So those are the capabilities that we are looking at in SATCOM. In PNT, of course, once the Navik settles down, what we want is location accuracy which is submetric. We are right now talking of in meters. We want it submetric for precision targeting, and including in the third dimension. That is, typically we have the X, Y, and Z coordinates. X, Y is generally managed well. It is the Z coordinate which gives us a issue.
Manoj,
Yeah. So last point, space weather station. We've already making a part. One of the challenges is that. So we could look at things like this. And to conclude, I would just like to highlight that till about 2-3 years back, we could never think that the industry could be part of the armed forces. Now with the SBS, the majority of the satellites are being produced by the industry. This is a change which has come up in the last about 1.5-2 years. And proud to say, we have been at the driving force for such a decision. Thanks a lot.
before we go to Dr. Vinod, it's encouraging to listen from Brigadier Manoj that 4 thing he highlighted. One is multiple winner for a same challenge. That means there is a competition, chances of success is more, and also there is going to be a better innovation. Okay, the second thing he highlighted is 5 additional challenges, Aditi, with a more share of the money in addition to 75 challenge. Third thing is we are going to sign the first of the deliverable contract in a month to a month and a half. And the lastly is the more number of make challenges are being converted into Aditi, which are better and easy to execute with a larger share of money rather than disk or a prime. Thank you for that little update. May I now request you, sir? Yes, please.
All dignitaries on the stage and off the stage, and my dear colleagues, very good evening to you all. I hope all of you know what is in space. backside. Okay, I think I need to say still. See, in June 2020, Government of India announced the wide space sector reform. In this, what was the mandate given to INSpace is Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center was formed to promote, enable, authorize and supervise the private companies in space sector. So as you know, before 2020, private companies were working as a vendor to ISRO. Post that, they can work in any activity, they can take up any activity in the space domain, be it launch vehicle making, be it satellite making, having orbital slot. The purpose of INSpace was very clear with a mandate to handhold and support the private ecosystem development. We are a space regulator, but at the same time, since the space sector is at very nascent stage, so we act as a promoter also. As a promoter, we have couple of activities where private company can apply to us for using facilities of ISRO, for installing their facilities in Department of Space premises. We have a state-of-art technical center, which will be discussed maybe in the next session. So there are many schemes we have started, whether it starts from an idea to the venture capital first. There are the 4 kind of schemes which we have. Funding scheme is necessary for the space sector. If you have an idea, we have the pre-incubation entrepreneurship development program. If your idea at some stage, the POC is done, we have a seed fund scheme. Then above that, if a TRL 5, you can take to 8, 9, we have a technological adoption fund. Then 1,000 crore VC fund is announced. So these are some of the initiatives which I am speaking here. You must have known that we have transferred over 75 technologies to private companies from ISRO. We have also transferred the development of PSLV by a consortia of HAL and L&T. The LVM3 is being done with a private PPP model. SSLV technology transfer will be carried out in a short time. Earth observation PPP model is also under process. It will be announced very shortly, where 12 satellite constellation will solve most of the problem, which Brigadier Manoj was telling, that tasking and all things, we expect it will be solved by private companies, which we are already selected. They will be announced in a short while. Coming to the IDEX thing, we are very happy to sign an MOU with the IDEX DIO in 2023 in Aero India time only. So major task was to enable these winners and facilitate these winners. I am very happy to tell that I think 3 companies approached us. One was Aditya Paris Persitech for testing 4-axis stabilized SATCOM system, which was done using GSAT-7 data. Then another company was Astrom, that was also supported, and Silicon Tech Private Limited for antenna characterization. So these 3 requests we met on time, and they were handled and provided all the required support. Coming to some of the points which are mentioned by, again, Brigadier Manoj, was that PNT location accuracy needs to be improved. I can assure you that we have the capability, India has the capability in PNT, where the decimeter kind of accuracy can be achieved with the signals from NAVIC. We have demonstrated it using in our SpaceX mission, where sub-centimeter level accuracy has been demonstrated. But there are the various methods. We can, if anyone is there, we are here to support and how to do that. In edge computing and tasking, I told tasking can be taken care with the help of duly developed system. ISRO doesn't permit that. That has been manual way. Edge computing, some of the private companies are working already in this domain. Now coming to the challenges which in my view this IDEX is facing, it is with the discussion with some of the participants and some of the private company, because we work very closely with private company. One of the thing is they don't find local support. If a company is at a remote location, there should be some testing facility. So what we have done, we at InSpace are trying to integrate the available test facilities all over India. And they will be available at our website. If you want to in Ahmedabad, we have our own technical center. If you are in Bangalore, you have ISRO facilities. If ISRO facility loaded, we have many private companies which have the facilities which you can use all these things. With this, probably we can integrate and enable IDEX people with this. I have observed this was I don't know whether complaint or this. I think committee formation of IDEX winners which regulate the progress. There are certain discussion in that direction that I will tell very clearly that they are in the committee. When they know somebody is developing that project, they start producing in their organization, which is slightly heartening to note that when I was discussing this. So such kind of thing probably we have to see that such kind of things doesn't happen. So that is the one point. Another thing was that I have been told that there are the multiple committees, like incubator is there, IDEX committee is also there. So it should be a one committee that monitors the progress of the company throughout that and with the powers. So we need to come out such kind of things in a very fast manner so that this scheme gets through in a very big way. I know it's very awesome scheme with a 25 CR kind of money available. Another thing is we have to see the assurance of the order should be given to them so that they have some encouragement depending upon the type of the project being developed. As you know, we have a very unique residence expert scheme where any private company in India, whichever sector they are working, they want to use the residence expert services. We have 4 residence experts in various verticals: launch vehicle, satellite making, and payload and space application. If you apply to them, they are available for consultation free of cost to you. So that is an online process. Another thing which I need to emphasize here, which we are also planning for the private sector companies, is the certification of the companies. That process we need to develop so that there is some stamp of approval of somebody. It can be ISO certification, it can be, we can bring out a model which will certainly help these companies to be noticed. Yes, they have some value, they have gone through some process, their product can be trusted. People have been asking us on what basis you say that this company is doing good, what basis you say it's not good. So these are some of the things. We have a standing SOP for enabling any company, and we provide a discount to the startups up to 30%. And if it is a commercialization, very nominal charges are there for this. So we encourage all the winners to use the facilities which InSpace has, or system which, or SOP which InSpace has already laid down. All of you can go to our website, inspace.gov.in, register there and work with us. It's a very simple process. You will be given a dedicated user ID password. Put your company there, even if individuals can do. We have 7,000 around people already registered with around 2,000 companies or vendors, 200 plus startups, all are with us. So space sector is grooming, and I really appreciate IDEX for space is a very good challenge, and people should keep participating and keep participating in the scheme which are coming. We keep announcing at our website frequently. Thank you. This is my initial comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Some of the thing he highlighted was TOT and the support, including certain discount through in-space process. Thereafter, active participation in technology development, testing and certification issues he highlighted, assurance of order to the winners, and now it's mandatory to give the minimum order quantity upfront as you are announcing the challenges. And now I invite Colonel Kishore to air his views. I would request members to restrict to the time, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I thank General Bhatt and ISPA for inviting me to air my views on behalf of Indian Army. As I'm aware that we are short of time, so I'll keep my delivery short and restrict to the pointers. As highlighted by the chair, we have been tasked to speak on 4 pointers. First is about the progress made as far as mission DefSpace challenges are concerned in respective services. The chair has already covered as far as numbers are concerned, all 3 services as well as DSA, the number of challenges allotted and their progress. So I would not dwell into the specific numbers as such, but yes, as it is time for us for carry out a self-appraisal, all of us. If you ask me personally, what in my opinion, the progress made as on date since the time when it was announced sometime in 2022, I will very critically say I'm happy as well as not happy. Let's not be pessimistic. So when I say not happy, I also attribute the reasons towards, this being the first of its kind. So there were teething issues. People were generally not aware of such setup and procedures to be followed. So there were issues at all levels. I will be very candid in saying that even at service headquarters levels, we were slightly not really aware how to go about it. Starting from curating the challenges to hand-holding and supporting. So there were issues which are by and large getting ironed out gradually. So I am hopeful that henceforth the progress made will be substantial. And as far as those teething issues are concerned, and wherever there are requirement of mending our procedures and structures, necessary steps are being taken at all levels, be it service headquarters, be it DIO, and even we are requesting private industry also. So with that being happening, I'm sure things will fall in place. As far as the second question which was thrown at us was regarding operational alignment. Operational alignment, certainly yes, because when the challenges were curated, all 3 service headquarters as well as DSA, and of course with great support from ISPA and from inputs from the private industry, all these inputs were considered, and we thought about how can we create the challenges so that these, when it fructify, it will be helpful for the services. And we also considered the use cases which were available globally also. And so definitely yes, all the challenges have been well thought of, and as and when the prototypes are developed and mass production is carried out, it will certainly assist all the 3 service headquarters as 3 services. And also I must also highlight at this point that even now we are also looking for additional problem statements within our service headquarters. As far as the next question regarding challenges and strategies, yes, a lot of challenges as I alluded earlier. This setup being the first of its kind, so there were issues. It's linked to the first question only. So that's the reason why probably the progress was slightly slow, but I'm hopeful it will certainly pick up pace. And also, there are certain issues which I am privy to, which are getting resolved. Is like startups are facing issues as far as testing facilities are concerned, and it is probably beyond their reach to create those testing facilities. So these issues are getting ironed out. Also, another issue which I would like to flag here, or maybe quote as a case study or example, is about there are certain challenges particularly which require bandwidth. So while these challenges were thought about, probably at that point of time, how to cater for bandwidth, how much proliferation which will happen subsequently down the line, that really is still nebulous, and we are not really clear. So even this issue, as late as last week also we had a couple of meetings, but these issues are getting ironed out. So I'm sure we'll find a way out of these challenges, and will be resolved. So it lies to all of us, all the stakeholders, service headquarters and everybody, all the stakeholders, to facilitate the processes and ensure that the challenges are addressed to. Now, due to paucity of time, I'll keep my delivery short, and coming on to the future roadmap, I have certain thoughts. Is all the agencies which are involved here in this process should work in a synchronized manner. because that is the way actually we should all move ahead. Uh, till the time there is no frequent interaction between user, between private industry, government stakeholders, licensing authority, there will be issues, and we should facilitate. So idea should not be to act like a stumbling block. It should be to facilitate, and we should find a way out. I'm sure each and every problem has a solution, so we'll have to make provisions, make waivers to ensure that if there is a hurdle, it has to be faced and a way out has to be found out. And also in future, now that we've matured to some stage, our thought process should be aligned to the national strategy and the growth, the pace at which the national space sector is growing. Since the Indian space policy has been released in 2023, we all are aware the quantum of startups which have increased and how it is going to increase. So we have to think that way. We have to think big and think ahead. We have to be thinking ahead of the curve if we have to be relevant. As I alluded earlier, active participation and interaction with developing agency and user is a must. And I'm so happy that in various projects, like Dr. Anupam sir is here, in various projects, there's frequent interaction between we as a user and developing agency is happening. So similar interaction is required, whoever is the winner. That private industry has to interact freely with the user so as to ensure that necessary amendments or necessary corrections are carried out in the prototype as and when required, so that subsequently we need not go back and change the things. Also, another important aspect which comes to my mind is sticking to the timelines. That is also important. We cannot afford to take a project and carry out R&D and keep carrying on R&D and do not produce a prototype. Because as we all are aware, the technology is changing so fast. General Khandare also alluded to that, by the time the technology changes, we should be able to exploit the product. We should make the prototype in a time frame so that we are able to optimally exploit the product. So that should be our endeavor. Just 2 minutes. Sir. And of course, a couple of pointers. Towards carrying out these issues, we need to carry out certain changes at all levels, be it structural, be it procedural, so that things are happening on ground as far as I am aware. And also we must now start thinking about next set of DefSpace challenges to be curated and launched simultaneously, because these are already out, so we should start thinking about the next round. And lastly, I once again thank ISPA, and I'm very hopeful that the way things are moving on, we'll be able to produce wonderful results. And as far as users, service headquarters and services are concerned, will certainly benefit out of this issue, IDEX things. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kishore. From Indian Army perspective, issue of collaboration was highlighted adequately. Also, he said that additional challenges should be launched while they are already working on some additional challenges. And thereafter, the changes in structural and procedure also needs to be formalized so that the next set and the future is much brighter. Now I invite Dr. Abhishek to cover his aspect and also highlight how responsive would be DIO and IDEX mechanism so that issues are addressed.
So thank you so much, sir, for inviting me. Thank you, Bhatt sir and ISPA team. So before I start, it is very important and very beautiful to know that how these 75 challenges are curated. Because if we saw these 75 challenges, it is curated like this, that it develops a complete whole umbrella for the defense space. So initially it is divided into 5 different buckets that includes launch systems, satellite systems, communication and payload, ground system includes software systems. So if we are talking about these 5 buckets come together to create an umbrella of 75 challenges initially. In that state, initially we have 35 challenges with IDEX and 40 challenges are with MAKE. where out of these 35 challenges, 4 challenges are those whose major component are in make. So that's why we initially work with 31 challenges. So if we are talking about these 31 challenges, currently we have 43 winners for these 31 challenges. We are done with the complete, HPSCs for all, and having 27 contracts with this. Whereas with the course of time, there are various challenges that are recategorized from make. Along with there are new challenges that are add on in the journey in the subsequent years. So now currently we have 50 plus 1, means there are total 50 challenges. One is the open challenge that we have. And in that sense, I just try to put in this perspective the state of the challenges in that sense. Manoj sir is also underlining few projects. For example, what exactly we are developing. So currently in Aditi 1, we have 4 beautiful challenges. That it includes the mobile ground station. And the beauty of mobile ground station that we are developing is, previously our emphasis is that we have a ground station that are either movable but less movable, or they are established on a particular place where we don't have to move it from one place to another. But now in this, we have a challenge that we have a S, X and K band based mobile ground station where we have to move this ground station from place A to place B. So the need of the hour is this complete mobile ground station should be light in weight, easy to maneuver from one place to another, and it is in the sort of the sense that it can be combinedly or covered in a very safe kind of arrangement in that sense. So the important thing of a mobile ground station or any ground station is the antenna. So initially everyone knows about a big parabolic antenna that are used at different places and different locations for all of these. So, but now in these kind of challenges, DSA and all the members have some kind of consensus that we have to look forward for new technologies for planar antenna where S, X and K, all kind of set of antenna panels can be constituted or integrated in a single family. Due to this, we are able to make it a lighter weight, and the physical movement of the antennas can be minimized with the help of these kind of technologies. So this is the first aspect. Second important challenge that we have is the neuromorphic sensor. So as in the first preliminary discussion, we know that we have various satellites, we have SAR, hyperspectral, everywhere we have a bunch of data, we have a data of lots of GB of data we are recording, and we are keep analyzing by using various kind of different kind of either AI, ML and various things. So important thing is we have to minimize, we have to contain that kind of data in a sense, means only the important data can be recorded in spite of a whole bunch of data is recorded. So if we are talking about the challenge that we have is the neuromorphic sensor here, it is also, we can known it as a event camera. Because if you are talking about a camera, it record a whole frame, whole thing in a duration 1 to 3, for example. So every single thing is recorded with having a kind of frame that needs a particular kind of speed, and the data that is required to store of that particular content is quite high. So if we have some kind of arrangement where we have to record only the change, अगर मेरे पास कोई एक चेंज किसी एक सिनारियो में होता है, so I have to record this, so इससे मैं क्या कर पाऊंगा, I can easily minimize the data that is to be stored. So that is a concept behind this neuromorphic sensor based satellite. So these are two Aditi challenges that we have. We already have the winners. Winners are also working in the positive direction for their contract signing. If we are moving down towards another challenge that we have in the list of these 35 challenges initially, important briefcase is the miniaturization. So we have a challenge that is miniaturization on 150 kg satellite along with various payloads that includes EO, IR, SAR, hyperspectral. Means there are various payloads that are also to be miniaturized. The satellite also to be miniaturized up to 150 kg. And that also includes the high-speed onboard data processing, motion control and everything. So the most important thing is the miniaturization. Because if we are able to miniaturize the things, or we are able to get into the step of the technology having miniaturization in the sense there are various problems that can be sorted out in the context of prices that are used to launch a particular vehicle in the space. So these are the few things. There are a complete list, but due to the course of time, I just conclude with a few points. Yes, sir, there are few challenges. If we are talking about the challenges, two or three things. First is the niche technology. Everyone knows that these are the things that are niche in nature. And here, Manoj sir also underlined that domain expertise is also an important thing. So here in IDEX, we also have a continuous discussion with ISRO, DRDO, DSA also guide us in various aspects when we are in discussion with various challenges we have. Whereas in the context of IDEX, specific to space challenges, we have component and composite challenges. Means if we have a complete challenge, might be there is a case, a major chunk is in make and there are few components that are in IDEX. So important thing is to coordinate with these challenges is a very big task, because if we have 5 different challenges, 2 in make and 4 are with IDEX, so 4 different starters are working on 4 different challenges. So, and they all combine together to give a complete product. So a complete coordination is a very important and is a very key aspect. And if we are talking about the way forward, sir, way forward is that we all come together, academics, all the agencies, government agencies, the innovators, they already played a very vital role in this. और जो थोड़ा ट्रस्ट इश्यूज हैं उन ट्रस्ट इश्यूज को मैं रख रहा थोड़ा कम इसलिए कि माइट बी कंपनीज हैव द इशू कि यार मुझे एमओ क्यों मिलेगा कि या मुझे बिजनेस प्रोस्पेक्टिव मेरा क्या होगा. Whereas at times services also thought कि यार ये मुझे अपना सिक्योरिटी को चीज़ों को ध्यान में रखना है, ऑपरेशंस को ध्यान में रखना है. सो आई थिंक सभी लोग एक ही डायरेक्शन में अब सोच रहे हैं. एजेंसी सर्विसेज ऑल्सो गिव देयर बेस्ट इसको आगे ले जाने के लिए, एंड आई थिंक इनोवेटर्स आर ऑल्सो विद अस. So with this line, I thank you, all of you, for listening me. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abhishek. He highlighted a few of the aspects like comprehensive space capability development. Of course, where it was left out, 2 to 3 challenges he's highlighted, like a mobile ground station and neuromorphic sensor. Thereafter, he also said that all the programs are progressing well and a high power committee has been completed. He said about the how they are able to overcome the lack of domain expertise by collaborating with various agencies. And also, one very pertinent issue highlighted by him is coordination between winners of parent-child or a make and the IDEX challenge. That has to be worked very diligently and together. And the issue of the trust was highlighted. Now I invite Wing Commander Praveen, one of the junior most among us, but one of the maximum number of the challenges he has single-handedly pushed.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, ISPA and panel moderator, to give me this opportunity to share the IF perspective with you all on the subject. My views will be purely based upon like one of the working hands for converting the problem statements into usable product. So starting with the first question, that is on the progress of mission DefSpace. We all know that the IF has about 29 DefSpace challenges with us, and post recategorization, sir has already covered, but in a nutshell, we have 17 IDEX stroke Aditi challenges and 12 make challenges. So out of these 17 IDEX challenges, 13 winners have been declared for 13 challenges, and out of these 13, 8 contracts have also been signed, and the rest, we have 4 challenges left for the HPSC, that is a high power steering committee, to be conducted. So these 4 leftover challenges will be similar to that of the SPADEX mission conducted by the ISRO recently, but with much more utility factor for the armed forces or for the strategic users. Coming to the make challenges, out of the 12, 2 challenges we could complete the feasibility study. I think it is one of the major hurdles. So 2 challenges we have completed, and the other 10 challenges are in the process of feasibility study. I'll come to the problems what we face when concluding the feasibility studies in a short while. The second question is on the operational alignment. I think all these 75 DefSpace challenges when fructified will have the do have the potential to enhance the op requirements of the armed forces. However, I would like to bring one aspect here. If you see the 29 DefSpace challenges with the Air Force, 75% of these challenges are either ISR based, that is intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance based, or the SATCOM based. So we do already have frameworks or the mechanism at the apex level. For the ISR, we have the SBS program, and for the SATCOM, we have the very soon we'll be having an integrated SATCOM grid sort of framework. So I think these 75% of the challenges which are ISR and SATCOM grid based, they have to be subsumed under the SBS so that it has uniform utilization for the armed forces as such. Coming to the challenges, most of the speakers have already brought out the challenges, but I believe it is a learning curve. I should admit it here frankly, that it has been a learning curve for both the user, for all the users, the industry, the facilitators and the policymakers to marry, or if I may use the term, marry the niche technology such as space with the conventional procurement process. And the very fact that most of the make projects are stuck at FST, that is the feasibility study stage, because critical inputs are being sought out at a very early stage. The critical inputs include the indigenous content, the cost, the foreign dependency, identifying the MOQ, etc., which industry sometimes struggle to provide at an early stage. Sometimes we are a major irritant to industries. Mr. Bharat can vouch how much we try to stretch the industry to give the right proposal. So yeah, you may cover if you have any issues with the service. Yeah, and I think we need to simplify this FST process for niche domain like space. Coming to the strategies, I think the Directorate of Plans at Air Headquarters, which is the procurement directorate, has done a fantastic job in simplifying the manual of procurement for the IAF, which makes the understanding and processing of the DefSpace challenges a relatively easy affair. Also, one of the strategies would be to develop the combined concept of operations for the fructified challenges, so that the armed forces as such will have combined utility for exploiting these challenges. Towards this, we have these frameworks like Brigadier Manoj has brought out, that we have the frameworks called the JDCC, which is headed by Secretary DP, as well as at a lower level, we have the joint working group headed by DGDSA. We would, during this sessions, we try to develop the CONOPS, bring out the bottlenecks such as the support mechanism, such as launch, ground station and satellite control. And I think it will be a work in progress. Coming to the future roadmap, pardon sir, last point. Coming to the future roadmap, we at Air Force have captured the space requirements for the near and long-term requirements. We have captured the industry capability and critical niche technology required by strategic users as a matrix. So I think we are ready with our problem statements whenever mission DefSpace 2.2 or the next version is ready for launch. Thank you.
Thank you, Praveen, for highlighting some of the issues that how you have achieved the implementation, what are the issues with the feasibility report, FST. And I would urge that your procedure at Air Headquarters, which has been formulated, could be shared with the DSA and DIO so that we examine that and for wider implementation. Also, I'll request Air Headquarters, if possible, the vision document and the mapping, what you have done for the industry, could be shared with the other user, and so that we benefit from your work. Now I invite the industry perspective to tell us the true mirror and show us the true mirror, where do we stand. While we are, all this while we have been speaking from one perspective, and I want you to speak the other side of the story. Thank you.
First of all, thanks a lot to ISPA for facilitating this particular forum. And it's quite honorable for me to stare the dais with all these honorable dignitaries here. Uh, so, here we have a lot of architects who have framed the DefSpace challenges. We have engineers who are working towards fulfilling the requirements of this DefSpace challenges. And quite a lot of our audience from the industry associations, from media and other bodies who have been witnessing how these have been moving forward. Now, I have been part of this process from the very start, from consultations to applying for several IDEX challenges, for working on several make challenges, and it has been a roller coaster ride. So I would like directly to jump into some of the suggestions of these challenges and how they can be probably steered so that it could help us industry to do things maybe in a better way or an easier way. Before I start with that, one thing I would like to put forward here is that this particular DefSpace challenges, or the way the Indian space industry has mobilized in the last 4 or 5 years, has been revolutionary. But to carry forward the momentum, we need to do a lot more. And I hope some of the suggestions that I can share today would be fruitful in doing this. So the first thing is with the make challenges. Quite a lot of times when I approach certain nodal officers, I hear the saying like, why do you want to pursue this make? It's an impossible task. You know, how many make challenges have been have been finalized, have been completed or executed? Like some guy says 1, some says 0, some says, oh, it's not happening in your lifetime. But yeah, it might be that, but let's take it as a challenge. Let's do it. Why? I mean, these are difficult technologies. When we as an industry are pursuing this different difficult stuff, these niche technologies, I would also request the users who are the ultimate people who are going to employ these technologies for various activities in their domain to also put equal trust and also walk with us to move this make challenges forward. And I would say 75% of the time, most of the officers were welcoming and they've been pushing it forward, although they faced a lot of obstacles. And many times, all these veterans and service officers, SHQs, have spoken for the industry in several forums. This time, there was one statement I wanted to talk for them. They need more staff. It's just impossible to run 75 challenges with like 4 or 5 officers. It's not happening. No one can do it. Please give them some staff. If someone who has the power to do that, please do that. Then another thing that I would like to make a note is there is a need to stick to dedicated timelines. It would help the industry. It would also help the service headquarters. I understand that due to lack of staffing or maybe due to lack of subject matter experts and so on, the projects have been delayed. But for example, let's say we have reached the FST stage and the FST has been completed. It would be nice if the developmental agencies could get a formal notice that this has been done. So within so and so months we would go to this stage, so and so month we would go to so and so stage. It would be very efficient for us in our business planning and operations, and also keep us motivated. One more aspect. In SHQs, always officers are transferring from one location to another, from one office to another for various requirements. But space is such a technology, as Brigadier Manoj sir has told, like they have come from, let's say, a battlefield to an office, and they're put in front of a computer, and they're looking at all the orbital elements, and they have to figure out how these elements can help them to form some useful things for the actual soldier on the battlefield. Now it takes, let's say, maybe a year, maybe 1.5 years to gain some understanding, to understand the industry. And after 6 months, that officer gets transferred. It's over. Now again, we go to square zero. Now again, we have to start it from the whole cycle. So if there is some process for certain officers to have continuity, especially when they are part of some critical projects, it would be helpful for the nation.
Bharat, I think additional suggestion, I'll take it privately. Maybe you can start winding up, please.
Surely, sir. Regarding the prototypes, as brought up by Wing Commander Praveen sir, and also by Colonel sir in from the army, sometimes some of the officers demand tank in space instead of a prototype. So I would say please kindly stick to prototypes only, so that we can also do them in a quite in a realistic timeline. At the same time, you would also get a functional prototype in the orbit. Then one more thing that would actually make us think for the large thing for the future is not only a space development roadmap which we have through DefSpace challenges, but a space procurement roadmap. How many satellites would you need in 2030? How many terminals would you need in 2035? You know, how many ground stations would you need in 2027? No one has that answer. Including us. Tomorrow you come to the industry and say, Bharat, I need like 10,000 VSATs, or someone says, you know, I need 5 satellites. Now it might sound easy, but let's say there is an embargo or some trade issue and we don't have solar cells and we cannot get them for next 2 or 3 years. That's at your operational capability for that particular year's skill. So I would urge, please plan some sort of tentative roadmaps. It would help the industry, it would help us to gear up the technologies, our capabilities, as well as our manufacturing readiness levels. With this, I would like to end my suggestions marathon, and I really hope and wish that we would be the superpower in the space by 2047. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Sima, for a wonderful suggestion. Make challenges. See, a collegiate decision is always better, and it happens very fast. So the make challenges, sometime you are taking a linear single person, so it's slow. So therefore, collegiate, you are there. More stuff, you all have helped the air headquarter by formulating PSQR, everything you did. So challenges were done very fast. So sometime innovative solutions. Timeliness, I won't agree with you. Earlier we used to take 4.5 years to get AON, etc. And I have my former CISC here, and with the certain processes, we brought it down to 3.5 years or something like that, with the best possible methods. But still, to achieve this kind of within 2 to 2.4 years or something like that, I think not too bad. Except for the make challenges, I would agree. Continuity in the space, difficult to ask from the services. Realistic demand, absolutely bang on with you. Procurement roadmap, yes, DSA has, and the 3 services have. Sometime informally, formally, they need to share, because they are little apprehensive what they need to do. There is one slide I want to show, if you can just turn on the last recommendation slide, which I think is a mega slide, which some of the note we can take on. And from the ISPA, we'll try and add those into our recommendation when it is going to the MOD. Okay. I was told to cover the processes. I'll just skip that. I'll share with everybody later. Okay, where you can, don't wait for armed forces to ask you. This is the website. Please go, put your challenges. And also talk to your friend in 3 services who are willing to handhold you. And make a recommendation that this is for challenge for Air Force, Navy, Army, or DSA. Don't wait. Feasibility report, if you help with this kind of a format with PDS, PRU, your challenges will move very fast. Understand there is something additional money coming from the government. Some of the suggestion, funding that under the DIO, the funding is generally right now from the government money. But when the initial policy was formulated, funding can come from the private entities and individuals also. Can we look at that so that we have more money for the people to get? R&D tax break, 200%, put all money for the maybe 10 odd years, IDEX, whatever money is, you are getting super deduction. Then you have some of the implementation challenges are there. Testing, evaluation,
has to be limited to TRL 7, 8. You can't be doing in the operational environment. So those kind of articulation has to be there. Quantity for the IDEX challenge, for the R&D part, has to be explicit. If the fund is 1.5 crore, we can't be asking for 3 satellite. So the MOQ already has been stipulated, now it's mandatory. Partner incubator must have experience in project management, especially in the space, and also winner must have freedom to select whom they want as a partner incubator, not only out of those 17, 18 which are registered with MOD. And role of NCL, InSpace, DRDO in formulation of various things, that is requirement definition, selection of winner, finalization of product definition, MPVC, development process, testing, evaluation criteria, and evaluation. We need to clearly articulate, and if required some money and the timeline, we must do that. This is the major lesson learned over last 2.5 years, and the majority of the project is maturing, and if you do it now, you would be much better off. With this, I would like to thank the panelists. May I request a round of applause for them, please? Also, I would like to thank the audience and ISPA. A round of applause for audience itself. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator and panelists, for that comprehensive overview of the status of mission DefSpace. May I now request AVM Ranjan to kindly felicitate the panelists, please. To Dr. Vinod Kumar, Promotion Director in Space. To Colonel Kishore, Colonel SP Space IDEX IDIO. Dr. Abhishek Chauhan, Deputy Program Director IDEX DIO. Wing Commander Praveen, Wing Commander Space Ops Indian Air Force. Mr. Bharat Simha Reddy Papula, Assistant General Manager, Space System, Azista Industries Private Limited. May I request Jen Bhatt to kindly felicitate our moderator, AVM Ranjan sir. Thank you very much, sir. May I request you all for a group photograph? A group photograph, sir, with all the panelist speakers. Thank you very much, dear gentlemen, for that very informative and significant discussion today. Our next session, ladies and gentlemen, focuses on a crucial aspect of space defense, strengthening the testing and support ecosystem of DefSpace. May I please request you all to be kindly seated. We shall resume the next session in 5 minutes. Requesting all our guest attendees to be kindly be seated as we are going to commence with the last session of moving on to the last session of today. Strengthening the testing and support ecosystem for DefSpace. We are privileged to have Mr. Navneet Singh, CEO of Kepler Aerospace, as our moderator. He will be leading a discussion with some prominent figures on stage today. Please join me in welcoming our eminent speaker panelist on stage, please. Professor Dibankar Banerjee, Director IIST. Mr. Anupam Sharma, Director of Special Projects, DRDO. Kal R. Jitendra, Director R&D, DSA. Mr. Shashank Saxena, Deputy Director, DD Space. Mr. Suresh Singh, Founder, Galaxy. Mr. Vinod Chipalkatti, President, Cebu Centrum Electronics. It's a very illustrious panelist at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Please remain seated. You need this?
And I need one mic.
Yeah. One more mic there on the desk.
Oh, it's okay. We have one.
Krishanu, can you get Suresh? I think he's somewhere.
He was right here. Start. He'll join.
Yeah. Easier.
So good evening. I can see a lot of tired faces. So let's start this immediately. I'm your moderator today, wearing a new hat. So please be gentle, first time moderating. I'm Navneet Singh, CEO for Kepler Aerospace, and I'm joined on this August panel by people much more experienced than us, who will discuss about how the ecosystem, especially the testing ecosystem, can be strengthened and how it can be brought into a less chaotic mode for mission DefSpace, and how we can go from prototype to production.
That is the whole point of this discussion. I will first introduce the panelists one by one, and then I will pose a question to them, and then they will talk about it. In the end, if we have time, we will have a short question and answer session. So first, I would like to introduce Colonel Jitendra. He is head R&D DSA, a distinguished Indian Army officer, and he has been an instrumental person in aggregating the 75 challenges for the mission DefSpace. He was also awarded commendation from both GOC in command as well as CDS. So very well for the presence here. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Anupam Sharma. He is Director DSP DRDO, an excellent expert in electronic warfare systems and space domain warfare. I'm sure we have heard a lot about him. And he brings an immense experience of over 32 years working in the domain that we are all just starting in. He's currently serving as Associate Director as well as Program Director at Directorate Special Projects. Next we have Professor Dipankar Banerjee. He is the Director of IST, one of the premier space technology education college in India. He has extensive experience in core sector domains such as nuclear, defense, aerospace, as well as process industries. And he has been leading many successful education as well as training initiatives at IIST. Next, I'm joined with Mr. Vinod. He is leading the Space Systems Division at Centum. Centum is a very large NGE who has been in the domain of manufacturing as well as supporting ISRO for their missions and space projects for a very long time. And he brings on board an immense experience in what it takes to take a design from ISRO and make sure that it passes every certification and test and goes into orbit. And last, and now I would like to introduce Shreyash. Shreyash, I mean, he is well known to almost everyone, rockstar, but he is a CEO of Galaxy Space, a company which is making world's first dual sensor satellite, which is electro-optical and SAR on a single system. And he has a aerospace engineering degree from IIT Madras. And in the end, I would like to introduce Mr. Shashank Saxena. He is the Deputy Director for Technical Directorate at InSpace. He has immense experience in the GSAT domain, so geostationary satellite domain, over 23 years of experience. He leads the Technical Directorate in the capacity of coordinating with different agencies, coordinating with different industries, and creating a centralized pattern for testing and testing programs at InSpace. So, now that we have introduced everyone, I would like to start by first posing a question to Colonel Jitendra, the man of the hour. The whole point of this panel is to discuss how can we, the industry, the academia, and the regulatory agencies help in the mission DefSpace of the DSA. So my first question goes out to him. What do you think is needed to make our testing platforms and our testing programs future ready, mission ready, and production ready, and what does it take and what will it entail? So, sir, if you can come. And
I'll speak here. You want
you
me
can
to
speak
come?
from.
Good evening to all of you. Actually, we had a long panel discussion 1 hour back. So I don't want to again go back and tell the background of the 75 challenges, what are the problems. Since the topic is very clear about the testing facilities, how to strengthen it, till date, the armed forces doesn't get into this aspect of testing facilities and all. We were the end users. So we give only the operational requirements, and an agency is there. For example, if it is a quality assurance or quality check, there is DGQA and DGAQA we have, and they interact with the industries and get the certifications done. And there is a separate certifying agency for all technologies and subsystems and systems. And the third part is coming to the standards. Every standards are very well laid out, and military standards and also the civil standards are all well laid out. So we never got exposed to this requirement till date. Fortunately or unfortunately, when this launch of 75 challenges came up, our focus as a user is like we were overwhelmed that somebody like a government is saying, okay, please launch more number of space challenges. DSA just got raised 2019, and these discussions are happening in 2022. Within 2-3 years, somebody is giving me a scope, and as director R&D, that's my charter to plan a roadmap for next 25 years or so, because space takes a lot of time. So when we are conceptualizing this, we were only thinking of capability development. That's how if you see the launch of the satellite, the challenges, we have given a very brief description of what we want. Because that is the thought process of a user. We not got into the integrities of how these technologies have to be developed, what is the design standards, what is the developmental standards. If the prototype becomes success, how the procurement and also the productions will come into play. We were not having any knowledge on that. So once it got launched, then the first thing which hit us is making the problem statement. So there is a format. You have to clearly tell the industry, this is the problem statement, and you have to develop that. When we saw the format, there is one para which says about testing parameters and what are the quality and the standards which we have to follow. It has to be told. So that's where we understood, okay, till now ISRO and DRDO were supporting us in all these things. So we didn't have any of the idea. So what we interacted with the ISRO and DRDO and asked what to write in this column. So we gave a very generic statement like, okay, all the mandatory space qualification testings at the authorized facilities and authorized certifying agency has to do it. That's what I can write, because it has to be launched. So now, after that has been launched and we have the process of selection of winners, so winners understood that, okay, we'll follow this testing, whatever is required. Who is the person? We always look at ISRO. But fortunately, ISRO also got clearly identified as a new agency called InSpace, which has been given this tasking of making the standards and certifying and also authorizing. So we always looked at them, and they already started. I think the panel a member will always brief us about what is the progress. We already have some standards coming up. So my biggest problem, as you asked me now, is in future or also the ongoing projects, when ecosystem or the industry comes and interacts with me, asking these pertinent questions, sir, for prototype development, what are the standards we have to follow? Because it's a dual use. When it's a dual use, whether I have to use the civil standards available globally, like AS 91000D or AS 9000D, which follows the ISO standards, or we have to follow the ISRO in-house standards, and who is the certifying agency for this? Because tomorrow, definitely, when we are going to accept this successful prototype development, we have to go for an acceptance procedure. There, this concept of ATP, acceptance test procedures, it's a mandatory thing in defense. We don't have an ATP procedure as on date. So we require a ATP procedure for all space products which are going to be developed through mission DefSpace. This is one of the biggest challenge. I request this discussion can come out with some solution for us. I think that's all.
Those were some great points, and I think our panelists will keep on adding to it. I would like to now ask Dr. Anupam to talk about, as being the person closest to, the defense space sector, he would understand the vagaries and the importance of testing more than any one of us here. So I would like for him to talk about what DRDO has been doing for the present test activities for the ongoing DefSpace missions, and what other future plans that they may have and are going to do. Sir, for you.
Thank you. Once again, I'll start from Jitendra where you left. You see, let us not be foolish launching a payload without knowing what is going to do. Something test has to be done in ground. Let me tell you, I was the first project director who has flown as part of a mission mode project commercial components. 5 years it has been working. Another 10 years it is going to work. This certification process comes out of the experience. So when this job was given to me, the item, the component is a industrial grade component, some commercial grade component. The ISRO said that I am not going to certificate. I am not going to certify. It is your risk. But I am not a fool. We sat down with the Maharathis of ISRO and they says, I have got no solution, but I have got, these are the test procedures, please refine. And that is where today, probably DRDO, we are working for a project where 5 years those commercial and industry grade components were used. We have got a process. Next is the certification. Naturally, we'll work with you, but something when you do new, that certification has to be started by DRDO. Now, next thing is this, when it comes to the kind of testing where DRDO can support you, you see there are two types of critical test and infrastructure which is required where DRDO has already got. The first is the satellites and the payloads, and the second thing is launch vehicle because there are different types of tests. Now, if I start in the back end, set the launch vehicle test, you see, the most important static load test, vibration test, acoustics test, shock test. Already this infrastructure is available with the DRDO where missiles, launchers are being fabricated and testing. Propulsion system test, very important for launch vehicle. We have got engine fire, engine hot fire testing, cryogenic fuel system testing, hypersonic testing, integrated stage testing. Then in future, we would like to have together, along with ISRO, if there is a reusable engine or reusable launch vehicle, we should think about it. Avionics and guidance testing, where hardware and loop testing, already we have. Flight software testing, standards are available. Telemetry and communication testing, already facilities are there with us. EMI, EMC interface testing is another good thing. Let me tell you something more. Thermal and environmental testing, very important for the launch vehicle. We have got already, DRDO was having one small thermovac chamber, 1.5 meter, but now we are going to have 3.5 meter thermovac. Our importance is that the moment the services gets a product, it should not be held up just because there is no infrastructure available. So we are going to have a thermovac testing, high altitude ignition testing, and also weather and wind tunnel testing is already available with us, which can be used for the satellites also. Full system and launch pad testing, wet test rehearsal, fire testing, integrated launch simulation, already facilities are there. We have got the facility of post data analysis once a missile is fired, but something very important, if you want to have a start testing, a smart testing is required. I have got an officer with me, Suman Agrawal. When I said, let us make a satellite and test it, she said, no, we are going to use a specialized application software where the bunch of the wires, when you put them together, the EMI-MC problem to be analyzed before a system is realized. So remember that a lot of things are required as per the automation in testing is required, where you need not to do it physically. The software should be able to do. AI and digital twin simulation is something very important which will be able to predict the failure of the system by having a virtual type of a testing. Rapid reusability testing, which is going to come in near future. Additive manufacturing testing. Remember, we are using a lot of additive manufacturing tools, so that also is required. And now my final thing, if I have missed out, is something like there is something which is going to be as part of the satellite payload specific testing, which is right now not there with us, but we are going to have we are going to collaborate with ISRO to realize it at our place, like optical payload testing, radar and RF testing, and also scientific instrument testing. So this is all going to be available with us, and we are going to work not only for us, but for the country by making this facility and infrastructure available to startups and the industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anupam sir. That was a very, very long list of testing facilities that he just told. And now my point to Professor Deepanka would be, sir, such a long list of facilities, but we need qualified manpower to do that. How does IST come into this for? Presentation, please.
Yeah, there is some presentation. Okay. First of all, Bhumandal se Brahman tak. So, first I will probably correct the degeneracy issues. There are three Dipankar Banerjees in the Google search. It comes up. One is industrial science material scientist, one is a defense specialist, and one is an astronomer who is me. So I did have a stint in industrial science, but I think Navneet had mixed two different expertise to me. So I'm actually a solar physicist, more involved with the Aditya mission, and a more expert in space weather, which still doesn't exist in India. SSA and space weather, these are the two domains. I think DRDO is taking a lot of help from the astronomers like us because we have the telescopes. We have been looking at the faint sky for centuries, so we know how to process very faint objects, anything in the space. So what I am going to just quickly run through is where IIST can help in the human resource development domain. Is it green? Okay, yeah. So first of all, IIST is a very unique space of, institute in the country, almost unique in Asia, which runs BTech in aerospace engineering, BTech in electronic communication, and we are just studying computer science and technology data sciences. We have a master's program, we have dual degree program, and we have PhD program. The way the IIST was born was 100% IIT advanced JEE engineers were directly absorbed in ISRO, 100%. So that's why they were not available to anybody else. We have produced 1,440 ISRO scientists today. So now scenario has completely changed. So now these engineers or our, scientists will be available for the industry and any other organizations, even DRDO, because they were not going to DRDO. The other important element is, this is an institute where really multidisciplinary research is already available. You start talking about propulsion, laser diagnostic, thermal fluid flow, aerospace, material science, satellite communication, quantum technology, 5G, IoT, everything is there. But so far, ISRO has been 100% utilizing all these facilities and the resources also. We also have atmospheric sciences, we have astronomy, astrophysics, we have small satellite programs. I will highlight few things that our focus is on experiential learning and participatory learning, so that the technique or learning is quite different from any other engineering colleges within the country, even IITs, I would say. So this is a unique, resource you can have, and we have already, participated in rocket experiments. 5 payloads have been developed at IST. Even the SpaceX experiment has a payload developed in a space, which is also indigenously there in IST. So I think it is an ideal place for bridging the gap between academic knowledge and industrial application. So today, probably I am the odd man out. I have only the professor degree in front of my name here in this audience. So, but it is time that, the academia really identify the really needs of the country and the industry both. And then we have to work together. I completely understand. So for the first time, actually, I was trying to see all the challenges which you have listed. I've never looked at the IDEX website and then do it. It is very much important. You listed out all the testing facility. Everything is there in IST. Everything is there in our ISRO center. So precisely those are the tests which our people are doing. That's why they're either working in Chandrayaan or Gaganayan or in Aditya. So all our people are directly getting exposure to these testing facilities at a very early stage. We do have internship program. I think this is again another area where our intern should go. So here you see, I have listed out we have advanced space research and fostering with IST and ISRO R&D labs. These are 16 labs across ISRO centers, whether VSSC, LPSC, HSFC, ISTRAC, SAC, NRSC, LEOS, NARL. All these projects are actually run at IIST. So DRDO can give us, we have a MOU now signed. So DRDO can give us, we will be happy to take up this kind of stuff. And of course, IST being a pure academic institution, we also have lots of ties up with the IITs and NITs and other institutions, including University of Science. Because we have the right combination, we have 7 departments, only 2 are engineering, rest 4 are actually pure science department and earth and space sciences. So this is a real mixture of the required space, technology, engineering needs, along with the science requirement. Just a little advertisement, this DefSpace is actually directly participating, in different programs here. We have participated in INSPIRE. This satellite is still operational, and University of Boulder uses all the data from her because it was in the US program. We have our own ground station. So the students are actually exposed how to run even a ground station. And this INSPIRE satellite, when it goes, passes every day, actually the data is downloaded. So these, infrastructure already, exist. You name it, any domain, whether it is AI, whether it is, quantum mission, geodesy, because, IST had to always, the scientists had to, apply for funding in the central agency, and we have been able to do it. So the innovative ecosystem already exists in IST. We also have all these different incubation centers. Some of them has grown up and gone outside. We hope that some of these incubation centers will even grow. 5G, I will just, last slide, that this is the roadmap. We are also looking at Center for Excellences. I think Chairman has also told us that Center of Excellences are not going to be only completely funded by ISRO. You get the fund from anywhere, and you build this Center of Excellences. We have 60 acres of land. We are expanding. So all these requirements, I think IST will be a good platform to explore. So I thought, this is a little bit of advertisement of IST, but I do understand the requirement for today for the space in terms of its technological development, defense, space weather, SSA, all these domains we can really participate very actively. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir, for that great information about IST, and we can see that there is a lot of hands-on approach to space technology, be it not only manufacturing design, but also testing. And it looks like there is a lot of good manpower available. We just need to find a way to consolidate it and distribute it amongst everyone. I mean, manpower is a precious resource. So now I'll go to Mr. Vinod. Mr. Vinod, you are a large NGE, and you have immense facilities already that you have been utilizing for ISRO activities. What would be your approach to sharing those facilities? What would your approach be to absorb the manpower that is being created by IST and such institutions? And what would you like InSpace to do to take lead in that effort of yours?
Thank you, Navneet. Firstly, thank ISPA for making me a part of this. There are 3 words that are buzzing for the last 1.5 to 2 hours for me, which is the traditional space, new space, defense space. And each of these 3 have their own features and credentials, and hence, even in the area of the test facilities or test platform or a test documentation standardization, these 3 domains bring 3 different flavors, and there is a need to respect each one of them. By which I mean, when we are evolving the DefSpace requirements, there is a need to standardize, bring to a common stage all the requirements, and then also see how and where they can be tested effectively with the least cost and the fastest mode. Having said that, an industry such as Centum, being in the space for last 25 years, has seen through the needs and increasing needs and complexities of the needs. And hence, we have also been able to deploy a lot of such resources, invest on these infrastructure, especially in test systems, and the human resource to come up to speed, meeting the challenging requirements. So it becomes very, it's the responsibility of a larger NG like Centum to be a part of this ecosystem that is developing in the country and to contribute in the form of being a leader and being also supportive to the evolving ecosystem. Be it sharing of the test infrastructure, for sure. I mean, this has been, if we could share ISRO's and DRDO's infrastructure earlier in 10, 15 years, and having established them due to the sheer scale of activities, it becomes our responsibility, and we do have been sharing this test infrastructure with the startups, with the academia, with various other stakeholders, and that continues to be a case. This is a default yes in that. It's also because it's a responsibility. It's also because these are all very expensive systems which are not necessarily put to use 24/7, and a private industry can give all the 24 hours and maximize the utility of this infrastructure as well. Third, of course, there is a nominal fee which also brings in some amount of business. So I think keeping all the three aspects in mind, it is imperative that an industry, a larger NG like Centum, would support sharing of the infrastructure. Second point that you asked, Namrit, is about what does an InSpace has a role in this. InSpace definitely has a role in this because with IDEX challenges and different stakeholders bringing different challenges, and suddenly when we are up against realization of those challenges and qualifying them to space requirements, there is a need for someone to coordinate, and InSpace can take that role and then make sure that the industry expectations or the younger industry expectations are met. There is a catalog of all the infrastructure available, and then there's a coordination that can happen. I think there is a role for sure, and then I'm sure they are also planning because they are already cataloging the capability that the Indian industries have in terms of infrastructure. Last but not the least, I think while this is a reactive approach, the proactively in the all future or the forthcoming challenges, right at the stage when the requirements are being floated, it's important to also give due respect to this area and then set those expectations or the convey those options available for the bidders. That's what I would say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Vinod. That's a great point of giving back to the industry from where Centum has been doing a lot of good work in that field. So with that, I would like to call upon Sriyash, who recently had a very successful poem mission. And in that mission, he had a lot of support, not only from InSpace, but also from fellow NGs. And if you can just put your thoughts on that, Sriyash, that'd be great.
First of all, thanks Navneet for the opportunity, and ISPA, thank you so much for that. I think I'll probably answer in a different way, like, case on point being poem for sure. I think InSpace has a lot of things under one roof to do a bunch of experiments, but also traveling to Ahmedabad sometimes becomes a little difficult. But, on the other hand, we have, like, for example, we have taken Centum's help, we have taken Azista's help, we have taken Anant Technologies' help. Like, all of these people and InSpace put together, the entire poem mission came together. And to our surprise, this was our first ever venture in space, 100% successful first shot, be it the thermovac testing, be it the vibrational testing, and so on and so forth. Everything was spot on. So this was something which was our experience of poem. But let me go back 1 year and so on and so forth. A year before, we were trying to develop a SAR payload, all from scratch. And unfortunately, we did not have any test bed to fly on SAR. So Colonel Jiten probably remembers that. The point that I'm trying to make is there are two segments. When you think of a standardized approach towards qualifying something for space, that is available. Like, I think I can call a lot of our fellow industry partners and just get them, to help us. And like getting an access to thermovac is not a challenge. getting an access to a vibrational table is again not a challenge, and many other things like Anupam sir also just mentioned. But getting access to a segment where you're not trying to do a standardized job is difficult. For example, taking SAR and flying it on an aircraft is not a trivial job. You will have to take the grind, you'll have to go to Air Force headquarters, get the letter. Still after that, you may not be able to fly. So that may be the challenge. Second thing, talking about standardization a little bit, if you have an optical image, you will say, here's an SNR of the optical image. Or there'll be some particular resolution, so on and so forth, all the specifications there. When you take SAR, same thing. You'll have an SNR image of some dBs, etc., etc. But when you do an innovation like fusion, how do you define what is it? And today we'll do an optical SAR fusion. How will you define the quality of that image? Tomorrow, someone will do hyperspectral and IR fusion. How will you define the quality of the image in that particular perspective? So I feel, the testing and quality standards setting up should be in two major segments. One is where the predictability is on the higher side, and that should be very straightforward in my opinion. Second segment is where predictability can't just come in. And that's the point I think we will have to figure it out on a case-to-case basis, in my opinion, right? Otherwise, the innovations or like the DefSpace challenges, in my opinion, have a lot of those innovative challenges. If you just think about that, there'll be a plain vanilla standardized process to follow. I don't know whether we'll be able to get there or not. So I think my concluding remarks would be, we need to have two different forms of testing mindsets. One is where you know what needs to be done, predictable enough, set the standard, make a process document, follow it. On the other hand, on the innovative side, we have to take it on a case-to-case basis and take one step at a time, move it forward. Yeah.
Thank you, Shreyas, for a very pertinent point, that is one size may not fit all. So, of course, in the future test document, on the common framework document that we are discussing today, such edge cases have to be accommodated, and that's a great point to make. So now we come to InSpace and Saxena sir. And so you have heard different stuff from everyone. Centum talked about sharing their facilities. Anupam sir talked about having a long list of facilities. Dipankar sir talked about having manpower available. Shreyas talked about access and not one size fitting all standardization. And of course, the question was, how do we come to a common framework, test framework for the future of indigenization in production? So we would love to have your thoughts on this. And I know that you have a presentation, so we can throw the presentation up. And please take it through.
At the outset, I would like to thank ISPA and Department of Ministry of Defense for giving this opportunity to bring out at least some of the outcomes which the government of India, as Shreyas said, an experiment in the form of InSpace, took initiative in. So today, there have been many relevant questions, and in fact, a lot of answers were also there in my earlier presenter's opinion, as well as pertinent questions, which InSpace in some ways is already addressing. It's only a matter of way to think and devise strategies to incorporate them in DefSpace. So I'll start. So again, as Shreyas said, many activities under one umbrella of InSpace, and this has been actually an evolving journey for InSpace also, because you had to be on one part a promoter, an enabler, a supervisor, as well as authorizer of a sector which is evolving, particularly from the point of view of entry of space sector. So in every segment, the way InSpace organization has been structured, within the organization itself, there are many cross connection between different directorates of InSpace to carry out these four pillars of InSpace mandate. So I will not go in detail into each of them. I will mainly focus on certain strategies which InSpace has actually put in place in a very short period of time, particularly defining SOPs for giving access to ISRO facilities. Secondly, technology transfer is also there, facilitating access to funding as well as upcoming thing of establishing manufacturing cluster along with the testing facilities. So at two places we have had MOUs. One is Government of Gujarat as well as one is Government of Tamil Nadu for manufacturing cluster. Then technical lab. Now technical labs is on one side you are giving access, you are mandated to give access to ISRO facilities. At the same time, we realize that there are certain test facilities which are frequently utilized in nature. Some test facilities which actually ISRO itself have a longer period of test duration. So occupancy of those facilities were also there. Then the sizing of the facilities which are available in ISRO and the projects that NGs were doing, particularly related to kind of say technology demonstration on platform like POEM. So InSpace took initiative particularly in establishing certain facilities which either NGs were not getting in ISRO, like a design lab, like certain simulation tools which actually are required in tandem, like RF design, optical design, along with structural and thermal analysis. So that kind of multi-physics analysis under one roof, even ISRO's different labs are also not having those resources and they are limited. But then getting a good workstation, high-end workstation accessible to NGs. So keeping all those in mind, from phased manner, InSpace took steps in establishing certain necessary test facilities. So we started with design center in 23. Then in last year, certain technical labs were established. So coming to the technical support, right from ISRO facilities, almost 44 NGs have been facilitated through 71 joint project implementation plans in carrying out more than 205 tasks and multiple ISRO centers. Utilization is almost more than 10,000 hours. In InSpace facility itself, which is one and only dedicated facility for NGs in the country under one roof, a cluster of facilities right from design lab to environment test lab to clean rooms to co-working space, RF and optical test instruments, all under one roof, along with support of technical experts, mentors, and access to ISRO experts which are particularly related to payload development in a center, that is Space Application Center, where this InSpace Technical Center is located. So there are certain advantages which Suresh has also acknowledged why Ahmedabad is also a good place, apart from other places where ecosystem is already established. And there also ISRO's initiative in establishing certain facilities like centums or maybe other big facilities which were actually catering to ISRO's requirement. But the ISRO's role in establishing those facilities is actually what has made these facilities ready to be utilized by other startups, as well as utilizing them in cost-effective manner also, which makes commercial sense to them also. So, in addition to this, in a holistic approach, InSpace is also focusing on skill development through hands-on training courses, helping NGs to get a industry-ready workforce, because that is a major crunch which was felt by all startups. So there also InSpace has carried out many structured courses as well as workshops. Now coming to the important point of establishing standards, particularly related to space segment. Now with the BIS and industry feedback, InSpace has actually, BIS has brought out a collection of 35 standards related to space system, program management, system engineering principles, product assurance mechanisms, design, testing production, maintenance, safety, and operations. So these are all adaptation of ISO standards with feedback from industry and applicability of scenarios which are relevant to Indian NGs. So these all 35 standards are available. So answering to Colonel Jitendra sir's initial comment of absence of standards for say military segment, so we can have a kind of say think tank which can help augment these standards further to cater to the requirement of defense sector. Coming to other facilities which are available in the industry, so InSpace has already taken initiative in compiling what all AIT facilities are available in the industry, making them available on its portal with easy access to what all facilities, with what capacity, what type of shaker, what type of thermovac chamber, what type of, say, numbers of these units and all. So everything would be cataloged like that. So last week only, this has been sent to the entire industry for their feedback. So I'll request entire industry to respond to those queries from InSpace. Regarding usage costing, I think there has to be some effort from industry itself. InSpace will not like to enter into the commercial aspect of it, but will like to categorize or rather catalog all the facilities available in the industry. Last but not the least is the mentorship and hand-holding that InSpace has been doing. So even in those domains which we are discussing today, whether it is standardization, whether it is defining certain upcoming technologies. Say, I was listening to Anupam sir's wish list, and I was actually thinking whether he has seen our DPR for phase 2 of technical center. So yes, we are sensitive towards demand and need of the industry. That has been mainly because industry has been responding to our queries, in terms of surveys that we have conducted. So with all these things in mind, I feel that the experiment of InSpace seems to be functioning. First of all, the way the outcome is there in terms of, say, NGs, whether it is launch vehicles, satellites, or as well as even POEM payloads. So this is the InSpace Technical Center, which was inaugurated test facilities were inaugurated by Dr. Jitendra Singh ji. And these are the utilization. So InSpace Technical Center has got space system design lab having all the simulation tools, RF and electronics labs up to 40 gigahertz, all RF and as well as digital test equipments are there. POEM emulator is a unique selling point of InSpace Technical Center with climatic vibration, thermovac test lab as well as dedicated clean room, AIT and co-working space also. Navneet, I will not lose this opportunity to market my technical center, being focal point for that. I'll rush, this may be my second last slide. So this is the outcome of the POEM payload. So the way NGs have utilized InSpace as well as ISRO's test facilities in coming up with the operational working prototypes. And there is certain NGs have actually shown a consistent utilization of this opportunity towards developing a full-fledged space system now. In terms of a standard, InSpace took this initiative in this manner, in phased manner. So we defined certain, say, guidelines as well as benchmarks through industry participation for standardization activities with BIS, as well as InSpace's participation in standardization activities of ISO also. So we brought both the kind of say authorizing agencies in this domain, in the domain of standardized standards together, and help come up with 35 standards already. Now, our website, I'm just giving a glimpse of it, how even NGs who are working in, say, IDEX project winners, they can access this facility. The entire workflow is digital. They can access, they can just apply online every process, whether it is application for any test facility, mentors, or even some technology transfer. Coming to the accessing the list of standards which are available and have been kind of say modified for space sector. The list of those standards is available. It will direct you to BIS site and you can download those standards and build your specifications for any RFP for procurement purpose also. Last but not the least, getting a list of compilation of all the facilities available in industry would also be on this portal, freely available to all the players in industry, whether they are a space domain only or other IDEX or other NGs. So these are typical list of standards which have been published there. And I will like to request this forum that this is a unique platform where problem givers, problem solvers, and those who have actually putting in their hard-earned money and their passion in building this sector to become not only commercially viable, but for the nation's growth also. So this is a great venture. I'll thank all the organizers.
Thank you, sir, for an in-depth presentation about InSpace. Major takeaways is that InSpace has compiled a list of facilities as well as has helped with manpower augmentation with their mentorship program and availability of retired ISRO personnel to help NGs with their testing efforts. I think one major takeaway was that InSpace would be open to a think tank organization so that we can come up with a common test framework between the DSA and the InSpace. And I think that would be the major takeaway from this panel at least, so that we can solve for the future is what the point is.
I have one point. Can I say? Just
Yes,
one minute.
Yeah, okay.
See, after listening to all of them, my problem still stays. I am asking one thing. Before making a problem statement, I have to be clear in my testing requirements, which are facilities are available, and what is my standards to be followed. And also, we have to know what is the ATP procedure. So we want some help from IAST. We already have an MOU with them. And as such, we have our sister technology enabler, the DSP is there. And InSpace, there has to be a team or a consortium which has to be formed. And who will be a one-point contact for us? I'm telling for the complete defense forces. For all three services and DSA, we have to go to this agency, whether it is InSpace, if it is leading them, or DRDO, whoever is leading. We have to go one-point contact. You go see what are the standards to be followed for the system. You put into the problem statement, and that is solved. I think we have to move in that way.
Yes, sir. So I think we will close out the session now, and we will take this as a future course of action where a consortium for a think tank can be established between different parties and players and come up with a single point of contact. So thank you again, and thanks to all the panelists.
Would you like to take any questions from the audience?
I don't think we have time, but we can take a single question if anybody has one.
Any questions? So we can conclude the last session then. So thank you very much, dear panelists. I will request General Bharti Jespa to kindly felicitate our speaker panelist and the moderator.
The biggest that each one has now is how do we get out of this venue to the respective cities? I think that is the test that is.
To Professor Dibakar Banerjee, Director IIST. To Mr. Anupam Sharma, Director of Special Projects, DRDO. To Colonel R. Jitendra, Director, R&D, DSA. Mr. Sashank Saxena, Deputy Director, TD InSpace. Mr. Mr. Suresh Singh, founder, Galaxy. Mr. Vinod Chupalkatti, President, Cebu Centum Electronics. And to Mr. Navneet Singh, CEO, Kepler Aerospace, and the moderator for the session. May I please request for a group photograph, please? Thank you very much, dear gentlemen. We now have concluded the panel discussion, which provided an opportunity for introspective consideration of a comprehensive strategy for Mission DefSpace. As we approach the conclusion of our seminar, I invite Wing Commander Satyam Pushpa, retired Director ISPA, to offer the closing remarks.
A very good evening to all of you. It's been a matter of great honor for ISPA to have esteemed speakers and a very patient audience for having spared your valuable time to share your thoughts, insights. I think defense space challenges is something which ISPA is really proud of. What started as the first presentation on the 7th of April 2022 to Khandare's intervention in MOD on the 25th of May 2022 to launching of the defense space challenges by the Honorable Prime Minister on the 19th of October 2022 at Gandhinagar. I think it was a phenomenal journey. And for that, many of you who have shared your experiences today and many who are not present here today, that entire teamwork that worked, I think, has been a huge spin-off for the space industry. I think what the defense space challenges have done is something which has brought the academia, the research institutions, the startups, the space industry, ISRO, everybody together into doing things which earlier was not happening. And I think it is the collective effort of the entire space industry. We are also honored to have our guests from SIA and who also have been contributing to this cause. And together, I think that the space industry is very, very committed to serving the interest of what the nation needs to field in the years to come as the military space capability. Space industry by design is a dual-use ecosystem where we need to focus on both sides of technology. And I think we at ISPA have adopted that approach in a very, very sincere manner, I would say. And very grateful to all of you for having joined us. We have a time limitation, so I need to, keep my remarks very short. But please do join us for our Defense Space Seminar, which is called the Indian Defense Space Symposium, which is planned in Delhi in the month of April, 7th to 9th of April. And we'll be very happy to have you there. And I thank the MOD for having given us this opportunity to present this. It's the second version that we are doing this time. And it has been a very pleasurable experience to have all of you here and listen to your insights. We definitely will compile all the valuable inputs that have come from the esteemed speakers and see what best can be done from our side to support the interests of the Indian space industry as well as the larger space ecosystem that we are trying to contribute towards. May I request all the volunteers to come, just get everybody so that we can have a group photograph with our guests. Just call everybody. Uh, May I request our entire ESPA team also to please come here. This fantastic program would not have been possible without the very dedicated efforts that my team members, Mr. Prasad, Mr. Krishanu, Ms. Aditi, and Ms. Preeti, who's not here, and our volunteer in Delhi, Tushar, and this entire effort has taken a lot of, you say, human hours to put it in the right way. So please come. DG sir.
May I request all our Anil sir, Rajiv sir, please join us on the dais.
May we also request all the ISPA members who are present here to kindly come up on the stage. Let's stand all as a family together.
Kanan, come join us. Come join us. Thank you, dear all. Thank you to our guest attendees, to our dignitaries, to our guest speakers. As this brings us to the end of the seminar, we hope you found the discussions informative and engaging. Thank you for the participation. We look forward to seeing you in the future events. Please enjoy the prestigious Aero India 2025. Wishing you a great evening. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.